what's the future of restaurant management? What's the future of petpooja? What's happening for the next 5 years?
Well, it'll sound very generic, but I think the future of all SaaS is going to be AI. The SaaS is going to be subsumed within that, because the thing is, just imagine, right? Today you have a biller who is making a bill in a computer. That biller is just typing on the computer. That can very easily be replaced by good AI.
Yeah.
It's not at all difficult. So yes, being from, obviously I'm a tech optimist. As a person, I'm a pessimist, and I'm still saying that because I am actually seeing the rate of, while today it might seem like, AI made some mistakes today in what it wrote, or that is going to go away in the large scheme of things. It's going to be insignificant.
Until it's not.
Until it's not, exactly, right? So the day it crosses singularity, it is there, right? So that point is going to come. And so if you adapt it, you will thrive, or else you will perish, right? So the largest challenge facing today is how do we integrate AI into our core systems, right? So for example, for any product, right, instead of saying, okay, I'll download these reports, why can't you ask questions, right? What was the average order value of my tickets from women customers in the last month? And it gives you a number. You don't want reports as such. You don't want 100 columns. You want to know the answer to the question.
Specific insight.
Very specific insight, right? And also, it might not throw it up. You need to ask it. Then in human conversation, and then why do you even have to type this? Why can't you just speak this, right?
Yeah.
And text to speech is now gotten very, very good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not that far off.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
So AI is going to replace a lot of people in terms of organizational bandwidth. But building a solid team is very important for any company.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? How did you approach, while growing petpooja, how did you approach team building, and what sort of characteristics were you looking at?
So one core defining characteristic that I violated and learned the hard way, never to violate again, is attitude before aptitude, right? So we'll never hire someone no matter how good they are if I don't like their attitude, right? Attitude towards work, their integrity, it encompasses everything, right? When you meet a person, you know whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't, and yes, it is biased, right?
Yeah.
And when people say, oh, you're biased, I am bloody paid to be biased. If I give generic gyan, that everywhere you can Google it, right? I am paid because I have a bias from my past experience, and I use that bias to benefit the company. Right? So yes, it is a game of bias. Yes, you need to be biased. Generic people are not useful.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, whenever, attitude really matters to me. I think that's something we have, and the other is, we are, as people, the founders are all very approachable, right? So anyone can walk in, and that gives people a sense of connect. The company is not faceless. The company has a face, and that is what keeps people engaged with us. We have very low attrition rates, right? We have attrition rates of less than 10%, right? Which for tech is crazy, right? You would see attrition rates of at least 30%. Which also could mean that we are not pushing people hard enough. But that's a conversation for another day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the thing. And in terms of, say, things like AI or hardware, we really believe it's about culture. It's about the freedom that you give people to experiment, to pursue what they want to pursue. And also, so for example, we've been running a hardware product of a robot for 5.5, 6 years, right? We've just been building a food service robot, right? That robot is not going to be viable in India for the next 3-4 years, at least, right? And we are okay with that, because the technologies that we learn while building the robot and the kind of interest that it generates in terms of people wanting to work with us is more than good enough ROI for me, right? I can build all my other smaller products along with investing in that robot, right? So we actually give people passion projects, funds for passion projects that they want to do, right? And even in terms of, we are very clear that we love how HUL and PNG have played out, right? We really respect that kind of culture where people and leaders are grown from the inside rather than, handpicked from the outside. We don't believe in hiring from the top at all. We believe it crushes team morale. They don't know the ethos of the company. They don't know the culture, right? People. So I'm not saying an absolute no. It's not that. But we'd ideally want to hire people who have 3-4 years of experience and then groom them and take them to the top. And we really believe in finding internal leaders to manage certain strategic priorities and then groom them and scale them.
What have you learned from your team, being a team leader?
Very, very wide question. I've learned not to do a lot of things. I've learned. I have always been assertive, but I have learned how to convey it well. I have really learned that you need to give feedback. Feedback, none of that sandwich feedback bullshit. You need to be very upfront. I'm not saying be rude, but you need to be upfront. Say, hey, this is working, this is not, because that's the only way people improve. And I have seen more often than not that if I have hired the right people, right, my feedback is taken very well, and things always improve. So I am very clear that feedback has to be upfront if you've hired the right people. So that's something I've learned.